Hello, and welcome to the National Timely Action Hour. This is the show where we talk about everything from Star Wars to Spider Man and everything in between. If you're new, welcome. I'm your host, Aiden. Today, I've got a very special video for you. We are doing a review of Amazing Fantasy number 15. This is a 2019 facsimile edition reprint, and this is obviously written by Stan Lee. Art and inks done by Steve Ditko, and the excuse me, got my little notes here. The colors are by Stan Goldberg, and the letters were done by Art Simek. So this is obviously going to be the prize of my collection. It says here, originally $3.99, published in August 1962 by Marvel Comics, introducing Spider Man. And he says here, though the world may mock Peter Parker, the timid teenager, it will soon marvel at the awesome might of Spider Man. Also includes very important message to you from the editor about the new Amazing. And then we got the barcode and everything. And since this is a facsimile edition, we got the original advertisements but new coloration. So Amazing Fantasy number 15 begins by telling us who Peter Parker is. We get his point of view from his peers and from his teachers. His teachers love him because he's smart and he's hardworking and he's just an all-around nice guy. But his classmates bully him, mock him, tease him because of his intelligence and because he's shy. And he's very weak physically, and that causes them to just harass him to no end. And he obviously doesn't love that. He really, the only joy he gets is, doing his schoolwork and being with his Aunt May and his Uncle Ben, who are, quote, the only people who have ever been kind to him. And so we see the day-to-day life of Peter Parker, and then he goes to this exhibit, and there's an experiment testing a new radiation device, and a spider, by chance, wanders through the machine and gets bombarded by radiation, and it jumps onto Peter because he's the closest person to him. It's just fight or flight. Jumps onto Peter, and it bites his hand, and he's like, "Oh my gosh!" And he is feeling woozy, and he leaves, and he's walking down the street, and then a car is coming. It's coming at him, and the person driving doesn't see him, and he gets this weird tingling feeling in his head. It's his spider sense activating. He jumps onto the closest wall, and he sticks to it. And I love that, his fingertips are highlighted in yellow to show that something's going on there. And then we get the spider sense going, and he jumps on and he climbs up the wall in a matter of seconds, and then he grabs onto this pipe and he crushes it, and he's, whoa, I crushed it like paper. So we already get his spider sense, his sticking to walls, his speed, and his super strength. So Peter decides, I'm going to use these powers to finally get something for myself. And so he crafts this makeshift suit, and he goes to this wrestling ring, and they're like $100 to the guy who beats our champion Crusher Hogan. And Spider-Man, he beats him, and he manages to get his money. Then he meets this agent who is in the crowd watching, and he's like, "Here, take my card." And then the agent gets him on the Ed Sullivan Show, and he makes a couple of appearances on Mr. Sullivan's show, and people love him. He goes home before going onto the show, and he makes his actual Spider-Man suit, and he develops his web shooters, and Aunt May and Uncle Ben, they're like, "Oh, how's your day, Peter? We love you. We care about you. You're such a good boy." And he's like, "I'm gonna take care of you guys because you're the only ones who have been nice to me my entire life." And he appears on the Ed Sullivan Show a few more times. Then he makes a few other TV appearances. And this place is robbed. And, Spider-Man's like, that's not my problem. And so he lets the guy go, and the cop's like, hey, why didn't you help? You could have stopped him. And Spider-Man says, sorry, pal, that's your job. I'm done being pushed around by anyone. From now on, I'm looking out for number one. That's me. And so then he makes a couple more appearances on television. And from there, he returns home, and the police are there. He's like, what's going on here? And he gets the horrifying news that his Uncle Ben has been murdered. You see, someone broke into the house, and Uncle Ben, is like, hey, what's going on here? And the guy is surprised and shoots him, and he dies. And so Peter, enraged, grabs his suit, and he tracks the guy down to an abandoned factory in the Bowery, and he grabs him, and he's punching him, and he's wailing on him. He webs up the gun, and he's just wailing on him. Bam, bam. And then the guy's hat comes off, and Peter recognizes him. It's the same man that he let go. He could have stopped him, but he didn't. He was selfish. And he webs the man up and leaves him for the New York City Police Department. They arrest him, and Peter walks off into the moonlight. And it's here that he realizes that with great power, there must also come great responsibility. And that was in the narration box that he realizes this. And it's just a beautiful story with beautiful artwork. And the colors are popping, they pop out at you, they really accentuate Ditko's pencils and inks. And the letters are simple, but they're effective. They tell you the story. It's, to the point, and the story is just well written. The dialogue is great. The pacing is great. And then the rest of this book is, other stories by Stan and Steve that are just fun adventure stories, little short ones. Here's one where Martians invade the Earth. And let me show you some of the Spider-Man stuff. Here he is fighting Crusher Hogan. There's the agent. And let's see here. Here's Aunt May and Uncle Ben. And he's making his web shooters and suit. And there's the original advertisement that was in the book. And here he is facing off with the mugger. Here he is learning of his Uncle Ben's tragic demise. And here's the final panel. And a lean, silent figure slowly fades into the gathering darkness, aware at last that in this world, with great power, there must also come great responsibility. And so, a legend is born, and a new name is added to the roster of those who make the world of fantasy the most exciting realm of all. The end. And that, my friends, is the tale of Spider-Man's origin. Now, as many of you know, I am a big Spider-Man fan. I got it from my father, who he himself is a big Spider-Man fan. He's got a lot of Spider-Man comic books in his collection. And unfortunately, he won't let me touch them yet, but maybe sometime in the future he will. But I'm glad that I got this reprinted edition, and it was about $36.80 Canadian. I got it from a guy off of eBay, and he sent it to me from the United States. And I just love this story. Steve Ditko was a fantastic artist, and recently in the media they've been talking about how his estate is suing Marvel Comics for the rights of Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. And I'm not a legal expert, but and there are conflicting stories from both him and Stan, where it's like Stan thought of an idea, then he came to Steve about it, and they did it together. Other times, something different. But I say that they both have equal credit, and Steve was definitely shirked of that, praise that he so rightly deserved. And that's just my 2 cents on the matter. And also, I forgot to mention that the legendary King of Comics Jack Kirby drew this iconic cover. And I've seen Steve's original cover, and it was also great, but they didn't, actually go with it. But here's the first splash page that we see. Here's Peter, Flash Thompson, Liz Allen. So yeah, we get Peter Parker, Aunt May, Uncle Ben, Liz Allen, who is in the Homecoming movie, and in a twist they reveal that the Vulture is her father, which is not how it is in the comics, but it was a nice twist. I liked it. And we get Flash Thompson, obviously the bully, who in time grows as a person and becomes a good guy and a friend of Peter. And, I just cannot recommend this enough. And the stories that are, the short adventure stories, those are really good too. Here's one of this volcano eruption on an island. And, it's just this incredible storytelling and incredible, amazing, spectacular drawings by Mr. Ditko. And boy, oh boy, was this well worth the money. And, I also did a review of The Amazing Spider-Man #1 a couple years ago. I got a reprinted edition of that from the 90s. And, you can check out that video if you want to see where the story goes from here. And I want to thank you for watching this video. I sincerely hope that you are doing well, you have a wonderful day, and that you enjoyed this. And, if you want to check out some of my other videos and you're new, please subscribe. And click the like button if you enjoyed this video. If you want to leave a comment with any suggestions or feedback, please do so. In the description, I will link my Patreon page. It's www.patreon.com/AidanVaughn, AIDANVAUGHAN. No spaces, no capital letters. And you can also listen to my podcast. I'm going to be recording a new episode later this week and releasing it. And you can check out my older episodes on that. And I'll also leave a link to my Facebook page for this channel that you can join, where you can check out updates, send me a message, just want to see what's going on the channel. And you can also follow me on Twitter, where I post channel updates and just my random thoughts. And again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you, and goodbye.